Hello and good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday to you from the Digital Thinker team. We're so pleased that you're here and joining us for our next webinar series with Bailey on KPIs and inboxes, how we can make them work for you. So Bailey here has put together an incredible little presentation, and so we're going to walk through the numbers with you guys here. So just bear with us as this is a little bit of what I would call a crawl, walk, run type presentation. So we're going to cover the basis, make sure we're all on the same page of what are KPIs, what are inboxes, and how do they operate. And then as we get through the session, we're going to really dive into how we can make them better for you. And then towards the end, we do have a little bit of a call to action that Digital Thinkers put together for custom KPI and inbox packages that you can purchase and we can set up for you at a minimal cost. So just stay tuned for that part of it. But we're super excited that you guys are joining us here today. Without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and toss this over to Bailey so we can go ahead and get started since we are a couple of minutes behind, but we are recording this. It will be posted to our YouTube channel and sent via email once the session is complete today. So if you do have any questions, please don't hesitate to utilize the chat and the Q&A option inside of Teams. We'll address the questions as they come in, and sit back, relax a little bit, and let's listen to Bailey. So take it away, Bailey.
All right. Thank you, Alex, for the introduction. For those of you who haven't met me, I'm Bailey Galston. I'm a functional consultant here at Digital Thinker. So we've got an exciting presentation today. So I'll go ahead and kick off our PowerPoint. All right. So this is going to be our agenda for the day. First, we're going to discuss KPIs and then show some examples. And then after that, we're going to come back in and discuss inboxes and then show some examples of those. All right, so welcome everyone joining us. So here we have a screenshot of the Hexagon EAM Start Center. And this is going to be the focal point of today's webinar. So the Start Center is essentially the command hub of EAM. It offers a comprehensive dashboard that users see immediately upon logging in, and it plays a crucial role in shaping the user experience. And when it's configured effectively, it can significantly enhance user adoption and engagement. So the Start Center is composed of three components. So we have charts in our top right, KPIs in the bottom right, and then inboxes to the left. For today's session, we'll be focusing on two of these, so KPIs in the bottom right here, and then inboxes on the left. Each of these elements serves a vital purpose in helping users quickly access the information they need. In today's session, we'll be focusing on starting to dive into KPIs and then inboxes. And we're going to explore how each of these can be leveraged to improve your operational efficiency within EAM and decision-making and contribute to a better user experience and assist with user experience and adoption. All right, so first we're going to start with KPIs. So what are KPIs and why are they important? So for those of you that don't know, KPI stands for Key Performance Indicator. These are specific measurable metrics that reflect the critical success factors of an organization. So KPIs help to gauge how well a company is achieving its key business objectives within EAM. Why are KPIs important? KPIs provide a snapshot of the performance and the health of your maintenance operations. They allow you to quickly view a high-level overview of your data without needing to analyze the details. This helps in focusing on what really matters for your maintenance operations. Now we're going to discuss some of the benefits of KPI usage. So our first one is perfect for busy professionals. KPIs are extremely useful for busy users such as executives, plant managers, maintenance managers who don't have the time to get familiarized in depth with EAM. they can just log in and see it on their Start Center dashboard without having to know how to navigate the system. KPIs present critical information at a quick glance, and it enables swift decision making without having to sort through multiple screens or needing to analyze any details. Customized to your needs. So KPIs are not a one size fits all. There are some available out of the box with standard EAM, but the best results will come from customized KPIs. They can and should be customized to meet the specific needs of different roles within your organization. For example, a KPI is relevant to a maintenance manager will likely be different from the plant accountant. It's important to tailor KPIs to the specific user's needs so that they highlight the right information to the right person. Data-driven decision making. So KPIs enable you to make informed, data-driven decisions. With a high-level overview available as soon as you log in, you can act quickly on the insights provided, ensuring that decisions are timely and based on accurate data. Enhanced visibility. KPIs provide visibility into aspects of your operations that might not be apparent just from looking through the screens at EAM. They bring crucial performance indicators to the forefront, highlighting areas that may require attention or improvement without the user having to sort the details to find that. And then KPIs can also be customized to show color-coded values to quickly indicate if a value is good or bad. And they can be displayed in different formats to help visualize the values as well. And then lastly, measuring success. So KPIs allow you to measure success. You can't improve what you can't measure, and KPIs allow you to measure things effectively. By providing quantifiable measurements based on your data, KPIs give you objective evidence of your strategy's effectiveness. This allows you to continuously improve your maintenance operations and to refine your processes if things aren't working for you. So KPIs allow you to record historical values, and this is essential for benchmarking, and it allows you to compare current and previous performances, which can help you identify trends and patterns in which direction that your performance is moving in. And so before we start with our KPI demo, I wanted to give a word of caution about KPIs. It's important to define the right KPI, and that is something that helps you objectively measure progress in a way that truly contributes to the success of operations. And it's important to set realistic goals as well. A common pitfall that organizations fall into is overemphasizing the results of a KPI rather than the actual success of the operations. So this is going to lead to misaligned efforts and priorities. An example of this is preventive maintenance scheduled work orders being canceled so that it positively affects the PM compliance KPI rather than them being done late. So in this example, the user is not actually doing the PM, but they're canceling it to positively contribute to that KPI, even though really not doing the PM is hurting the operations overall. So it's important to remember that KPIs are a proxy measure for performance and not the end goal in themselves. All right, so now we're going to jump to our KPI demo, and we're going to look at some examples of KPIs within EAM. Okay, so I'm going to navigate to my Start Center. This is what the user would see when they first log into EAM. I had to navigate there because I was already logged in on a different screen. So here's our KPI section in the bottom right. I'm going to close out our chart section so that we have a little more room to focus on KPIs. Okay, so here are our KPIs, and we can use this resize KPI slider if we like to adjust them to make them larger and easier to see. So I'll go ahead and make them a little bigger. Okay, so our first KPI example is going to be total inventory value. So this is a commonly used one. This gives us a measure of the value of everything in the inventory within EAM. And it's calculated by taking the sum of every part, taking its price multiplied by its inventory quantity. So if the plant accountant needed to find the inventory value, they could log into EAM and easily see this on their dashboard without needing to know how to navigate through the different screens within EAM or having to perform any calculations themselves. We also have the dollar sign unit of measure attached to this, and that allows us to identify what the value is actually measuring. So we can give any KPI any unit of measure that's already set up within EAM. So our next KPI example is number of parts stocked over max. So this is giving us a measure of how many parts we have in the inventory that have a quantity greater than their defined maximum level. For this example, we have the KPI linked to the actual part screen so that we can double click on it and view the results on that screen. So you can link KPIs to screens when it makes sense, which it does in this case because we're looking at a count of individual records. But for example, it wouldn't make sense to link the total inventory value KPI to the screen because that is a sum of results. And so I'm going to double click on this and it'll actually show us the list of parts that are stocked over the max. Okay, and so here we can scroll through and see the parts. And if we go to the stores tab, we can check to see that we currently have a quantity of 21 for this part, and the maximum is 7. So that is why that part is showing up there. So this is a good use case for KPIs because we're trying to look at records on our part screen record view based off the information that's on our stores tab. And there's not a good way to manually search for that. If we wanted to manually search for it, we'd have to scroll through the parts tab and keep flipping back and forth to the stores tab because there's not a list view for the stores tab by default. Okay, and so I'm going to go back to my start center. Okay, our next KPI example is another commonly used KPI. This is on-time PM completion this week. So right now, this is showing a percentage for our entire site. This one is actually set up as a parent KPI. And so that means that it is composed of multiple child KPIs, and we can view the individual child KPIs that contribute to this if we want to view things at a more granular level. So if we double click on these 3 dots, right now our total on-time PM completion this week is 63%. If we click on these 3 dots, it's going to show us the child KPIs that compose that overall parent KPI. So now we see that the overall percentage is based on 4 different production lines. So we have a child KPI for lines 1 through 4, and they each have their own individual percentage towards on-time PM completion. So this helps us understand why the overall parent percentage is where it's at. So we can see that lines 3 and 4 are doing well, while lines 1 and 2 are not doing so well. when you set up a parent KPI, you can define how the parent is calculated based off of the values for the child KPIs. So you can make it so that it is an average of the child values with a weighted value given to each one, or you can set it up as a total sum. So the parent would just be the sum of all the child KPIs. And you can use however many child KPIs you want. It doesn't have to be four. You just have to assign a weighted value to each one of them. So you probably noticed that these ones are colored as well. And this is another feature of KPI formatting within EAM. So with KPIs, you can define a color-coded range, which helps indicate how your results compare. So for these KPIs, we have a defined range of 0 through 50% being a red to indicate poor results, 51 through 79 being yellow to indicate average results, and then anything 80 and above shows as green to represent good results. So we can use as many ranges and colors as we like, and we can also upload custom images and set of colors if we like for the selected range. For example, instead of making 0 through 50 red, we could upload a custom image of a caution sign that would appear whenever the result is 0 through 50. Okay, and so if I click this back button, that's going to take me back to the overall KPI list so we can see the parent again. So this next KPI is labor hours booked last week. And this one shows how many labor hours have been booked on work orders for the previous week. So we can use date filters within the KPI query to show results from the previous Monday through Sunday, regardless of what day of the week we view this on. We could also do this for a rolling 7-day period, or we could make it for the previous month or year if we wanted to. We can really define whatever custom date range we want to within a KPI. Okay, so the next example we have is downtime hours for critical equipment for the previous week. So this KPI is a measure of how many downtime hours were logged on work orders that were attached to equipment that was marked as critical on the asset record view. We have this KPI set up to maintain history so that it saves the value of a KPI on a determined basis so that we can compare historical data later down the line. So if I go to our KPI setup screen and look for this downtime hours for critical equipment previous week. Okay, so I scroll down and select it from my KPI list. If I go to the history tab, we can see the historical values for this. So it gets recorded every Monday. And this allows us to identify a trend. So we can see that the value is consistently going up each week so that we know that we need to focus on reducing downtime hours on critical equipment. All right, so if I go back to the Start Center, so our last KPI example is percentage of reactive work orders this year. So this is telling us that it's at 67%. So we have this gauge pointing, and it also tells us the number here if we're not using a numerical format. So this is saying that 67% of our work orders this year have been reactive, and so we can deduce that only 33% of our work orders this year were proactive or planned. So this KPI uses the donut formatting, which makes it display like a gauge rather than the numerical formatting of the others. So these displays are not just for KPIs measuring percentages. You can define the minimum and maximum for whatever works best for that specific KPI. So you can do it for a selection of inventory value or labor hours, anything you want. It doesn't have to be a percentage. Okay, so that is all of the KPIs we're going to cover today. Now we're going to discuss inboxes.
Hey, Bailey,
then,
before you get
yeah.
into inboxes, somebody asked, can anyone create a KPI, or is it just system admins that can create KPIs?
So, I mean, that's going to depend on how your environment is configured access-wise. If you have access to the administration Start Center setup, queries and KPI setup screen, then you could create one. It does require some knowledge of SQL.
Fantastic. Thanks for answering that, Bailey.
Oh,
Debbie, hopefully that answered your question. If you have any more, just drop another one and I'll either get with you one-on-one or we can talk a little bit more after the webinar.
all right. Yeah. Thank you, Debbie. That was a great question. Okay. All right. So now we're going to talk about inboxes. So what are inboxes? Inboxes in Hexagon EAM function similarly to KPIs, but serve a different purpose. So KPIs provide a high-level overview to track metrics, whereas inboxes are intended to provide a real-time, detailed view of information to take actions on. So basically, an action item list. Why are inboxes important? Inboxes can streamline a user's day-to-day tasks and operations within the system. Proper inbox usage can significantly reduce the time it takes for a user to perform their job within the system, and it ensures that users see information that is relevant and important to them. A desktop user with poorly designed inboxes will take much longer to do their job within EAM, and they'll have to sort through an overwhelming amount of irrelevant information, and they'll often not have visibility over what is actually important to them, and they're going to have an ineffective and frustrating user experience. In contrast, the desktop user with well-designed inboxes will be able to do their job within EAM efficiently and in a timely manner, and they'll be showing the information that is important and relevant to them. This is going to lead to the best user experience. All right, so what are some benefits of inboxes? So the first one is streamlined task management. Inboxes display a list of items that a user needs to take actions on. This action item list is visible when the user first logs into the system. It's on the Start Center overview, just like KPIs. So this easily viewable action item list ensures that the user acts upon the required items in a timely manner. It also prevents the user from having to manually search through the system for things like work orders and purchase orders that need their attention, and it removes the risk of a user not having visibility over items that they need to act upon. If the user has the right inbox setup within EAM, all their job functions can be driven from that inbox list, and they won't need to sort through unfiltered screens at all. Real-time information. So inboxes display real-time, up-to-date information to ensure that users are notified of important information in a timely manner. Inboxes can be set to automatically refresh when a user logs in or navigates to the Start Center, and they can also refresh their inboxes at any time by clicking the refresh button. Inboxes can be customized to your needs. Just like KPIs, they can be customized to your specific needs. The best results from inbox usage are going to occur when the inbox lists are customized to the specific user group or even the individual user. By tailoring their inboxes to show them important and relevant information that they need to act upon without overwhelming them with irrelevant information. like KPIs, inboxes also provide enhanced visibility. Inboxes ensure that users have visibility over what's important. Inboxes also allow users to search for information that a user would have a difficult time trying to find manually. For example, an inbox can be created on information from multiple screens at the same time. That would take the user a lot of time and effort to search through and cross-reference, such as work orders with specific criteria for their equipment on the asset record. Inboxes allow for advanced filtering. Inboxes allow users to search with criteria they would not be able to manually search with unless they had a good working knowledge of SQL. For example, an inbox can be created to show results for the previous week or a dynamic rolling 30-day period. We can use dynamic filters to specify results based off the currently logged in user so that that inbox is applicable for anyone using it. And it also helps with filtering results for users' organizations in cases where they may have multiple organizations but have one default one that they prefer to work in. Lastly, inboxes assist with accountability and communication. So when a user completes their portion of a task, for example, finishing a work order and setting the status to ready for review, through inboxes, the next user would automatically be notified that that work order is now ready for them to review it without the previous user needing to communicate that to them. And then before we get started on our demo, a word of caution. The biggest mistake that I see organizations make when it comes to inboxes is giving users too many inboxes to the point where they get overwhelmed with how many they have to sort through. A pitfall that I see is that the users will be given an inbox for everything, which causes for them to lose oversight on what they actually need. A good rule of thumb is to use inboxes as a list of action items that users should work on resolving. For example, if you need to keep track of safety work orders that were created in the last year, it may be a better idea to do this through a report or a data spy, because that's not something that you're going to work on clearing and resolving. All right, now we're going to go back to our EAM Start Center and take a look at some example inboxes. Okay, so this is our inbox panel on the left. So we're on our Start Center again. This is the first thing that users see when they log in. And so when a user first logs in, they're going to be presented with the list of important action items that they need to focus on. And they won't need to navigate through different screens to find these. Okay, our first example is open work orders assigned to me. So this is a commonly used inbox. We can see that to the right of the inbox name, it shows us a count of how many results there are. So there's 4 in this case. If we have our inbox set to automatically refresh, then these results are going to be up to date whenever we log in or navigate to the Start Center in the top left here. But we can always use this refresh button at any time to update them as well. So when we double click on our inbox, it's going to take us to the screen that it's linked to and show us the 4 results here. So KPIs, sometimes they'll be linked to a screen if it makes sense, whereas inboxes are always going to be linked to a screen because you're going to want to be able to actually scroll through those items and work on resolving them. And so this inbox is filtering to show us all open work orders that are assigned to the logged in user's employee record. So if we scroll through those and the assigned to, the value is always BG, which is my employee record. So this is going to be a dynamic filter based off of the logged in user. So if another user were to use the same inbox, they would not see things that are assigned to me. They would only see things that are assigned to them. Okay, and so at any point I can click this down arrow on the top left to go back to my start center, or additionally I can use my screen cache at the bottom. Okay, so our next example is work requests awaiting approval for my default organization. So similarly to the last inbox, this one also uses a dynamic filter based off the logged in user. So for this user record I have access to multiple organizations. This one is just filtering to show results for my default organization, which is going to be the one that I'm working the most in. Now, if another user were to use the same inbox, again, it would show results for their specific default organization. Okay, so if I double click on this, it's going to show me all the results of work requests that need approval. So right now we currently have 4. So I'm going to double click and we're going to see those 4. So this is a great example of effective usage for an inbox. Since the inbox gives us a list of items that we need to act upon, our goal here should be to resolve all of these and clear our list. So I'm going to go through these and approve all of these work requests. Now I'm going to hit OK. And if I go back to my start center, now it says that we have 0 results. So this indicates that we resolved everything within this inbox that we need to act upon, and we're clear to move on to the next one. So our next example is going to be work orders awaiting review. So this is another commonly used inbox. This gives us a list of work orders that have been completed and need to be reviewed before the work order is actually closed. This is another great example of inbox usage. So whenever a technician marks a work order as ready for review, it's automatically sent to our inbox for us to review without that technician needing to communicate this to us. Having this as an inbox spares us from having to manually search for work orders on the work order screen and looking for any that we may need to interact with. When we have that list of action items that we're responsible for displayed when we first log in, it ensures that we have visibility over everything that's important to us and that we need to take action on. We can focus on just going through our inboxes to resolve them without having to poke around through all the different system screens to manually search for anything that may be pertinent for us. So another feature of the inbox page is that we have different folders, which allows us to group and organize our inboxes. For example, maybe we want to separate work order and purchasing related inboxes. Right now, our folder is set to operations, which is the default. I'm going to change the folder to management. And now the inboxes that we have listed under the management folder will display for us. Okay, so here we have different inboxes under the management folder. So our next example inbox is overdue work orders created in the last 30 days. This is showing us a count of any work orders created in the last 30 days that are still open and their scheduled end date has passed. This is an example of a date filter we can use on inboxes that simplify searching. So a user could go to the work order screen and manually search for open work orders with a date created of greater than the date 30 days ago. But because on the work order screen, you would need to actually pick the specific date. If the user wanted to recreate that search, they would have to do it every single day that they want to use that search. Whereas this, it's a dynamic filter, so it's always going to be your previous 30 days. Like KPIs, we can customize their boxes to show results for any date period, whether it's a rolling one like the last 30 or 7 days, or if it's a specific one like the previous year or the previous month. We can do that any way you need. So this next inbox is going to show us all of the logged in users. Right now, there's only one result, and that's going to be me because I'm using our demo environment. And so this one is linked to the user screen. This is a showcase of some of the advanced filtering we can add on to our inbox queries. Users would not be able to search for this manually on the user setup screen unless they knew how to work with SQL to add their own advanced workflows. Okay, so now I'm going to go back, and so this next one is service purchase orders awaiting approval. So this is going to show us all purchase orders that are awaiting approval that have service lines rather than parts. So if I double click on it, it's going to take me to the purchase order screen, filtering for those 3 results. This is another example of an inbox helping you drive your workflow. It's showing you things that you need to act upon, as well as it's giving you a view of information that you couldn't easily find. There's not a easy way to filter on the purchase order list view by default to see if it's a service purchase order. If you're going to do this manually, you'd have to scroll through the purchase order list view and keep flipping back and forth between the record view and the services tab, because there's not a good way to search by the services tab on the main list view. All right. All right, so that's everything I have for the inbox demo. I'm going to hand things back to Alex. He's going to talk about a inbox and KPI package we offer, and then we'll have a Q&A session. So thank you everyone for listening, and thank you, Alex.
Awesome. Thank you, Bailey. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen briefly. As Bailey mentioned, maybe through this this webinar, it got the gears turning on how you can better utilize your KPI and inbox screens in Hexagon EAM. And who knows, maybe you're a total rock star and you're just kicking butt so much you don't need any changes. But if you do have some ideas, we have put together over the 20 plus years Digital Thinker has been together, what are some of the best practices or best KPIs and inboxes that we've seen through various industries. So I'll include this document in the post webinar email that's coming out. But as you can see, it's straightforward. We have a maintenance essentials, what the cost is and what the inboxes and KPIs look like. Same for advanced screens or even to build your own. And we have plenty more to choose from to where you can mix and match and customize. We have buyer essentials, another advanced screens, and then again, the build your own and the wow, the page just kind of keeps going and going. I apologize. But anyway, we have the glossary for the pick and choose and how you want to build your own. So if you already have an idea, but maybe you just don't know how to get there, review this document and we can build it for you. And as you can see, the cost for us to come in here and do it for you is it's next to nothing, guys, to be honest with you. I mean, you guys spend probably a little bit more money consulting with with somebody to troubleshoot versus trying to get a KPI and inbox built. So look for the document in the email that'll come out. Also in the email will be a link to this recording and a survey. We would love to have your feedback as well. So please fill out that survey. We want to know what went right, what went wrong, so we can deliver better content to you and everybody that comes into it. So we do have a list of questions here, Bailey. I will start rattling them off. So first question comes in from Darren. Can a KPI store historical data so that I can go back and view its value from a day or a week ago?
Yes, it can. And so you can set up a KPI so that it maintains its history. And you can also define how often, how frequently that value gets recorded. So you can make it so that it records the value every day, every week, every month if you want to.
Awesome. And then I see, Bailey, you answered Prince's question. I'll go ahead and just say it out loud for the group. They asked, due to retention of CMMS, can an inbox be deleted by the system admin if need be? And Bailey said, yes, an admin can delete the KPI from any user start center, and they can delete the KPI itself as well as the inbox. So answered that question. Does anybody else have any other questions they'd like to bring for us today before we close it out? Oh, here we go. Gary asked, how can you set up KPIs and inboxes to default for all new and old users?
So for a specific user, it's a little more difficult to define what the default start center step is going to be. What you can do is you can make it so that whenever a user is created in a specific user group, it's going to automatically populate their start center with a list of KPIs and inboxes that are associated to that user group. But for users that already exist, you can go to their user setup record and go to their inbox or KPIs tab and add it for them.
Thanks, Bailey. Hey, Brenda asked, if you build a KPI, can multiple locations use that same one for the cost of one build? I think to answer part of that question, I would imagine, Bailey, yes. If we build a KPI, multiple locations can use the same one. It's just a matter of how the user groups are set up.
So, I mean, it depends on what you mean by the same build. So earlier we talked about dynamic filters. So you could create a KPI to show you the costs for work orders, purchase orders, whatever, for your specific location. And so that same KPI could be used for everybody at all locations, and it would just show them the results specific to their location.
Brenda, I'm going to turn your microphone on real quick, if you don't mind. And I would just want to kind of dive a little bit deeper into that ask there. You should be able to unmute yourself if you so choose.
Yeah, I can. Basically, you answered the question. We have multiple storerooms or locations that we could for sure want to use a KPI set up for their own locations as well as a group location. So if we had one person that oversees a KPI and he's pulling the information for all of the locations, and then each location can pull up the same information just for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we could do that. And we could also use that if for some reason you'd like to see other locations values without it being factored into yours. We could always use that parent-child functionality that we looked at in the KPI. So you could set up a parent KPI that is the sum of all storeroom values. And then you could further split that up into children that are specific to each site.
But then the cost is only for the parent, right? Each child location would not be charged for that KPI.
I'll answer that question, Bailey. The answer is yes.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Brenda. Yaya, to answer your question, I don't know if you saw it or not. I know you asked for training to set up custom reports for KPIs and inboxes because you want to create your own settings. Our very own Rebecca Schaufstall, who leads our DTI Academy, posted a link. And I believe that link takes you to a virtual training class that she is hosting on October 16th to go a little more in depth on how to create and customize your own KPIs and inboxes. So if you want to be a part of that DTI Academy class, the link is in the Q&A chat. Just click on register now and you'll get that set up. Great questions, guys. Do we have any more? All right. Well, I appreciate everybody attending today. We're going to go ahead and close this out. If you do have any additional questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to myself or Bailey. Our email addresses are pretty simple. It's just our first dot, our last name at digitalthinker.com, and we're more than happy to answer any questions that you have. Or feel free to visit our website and submit a form on what your questions may be. Again, keep an eye out for the email coming out after this session for the recording to the link that's going to have all the questions, the survey, and the brochure for the KPIs and inbox packages. So it's pretty simple and straightforward, all the information at your fingertips. Thanks again, everybody, for being here today. We look forward to the next one. Don't forget, we're doing our digital Thinker webinar series, Hexagon Hacks on Digital Work series, is tomorrow, hosted by our own Jordan Jensen. I'll post the link to that coming up here shortly or in the same email, and we'd love to see you there. Hope you guys enjoy your Tuesday. Have a great week. And again, thanks for being here. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.